So this is a good example of like when they harvest a lot of their vegetables and the dead branches from the palm trees, things like that. A lot of this stuff they're actually just throwing them in these piles, and they're just actually letting them kind of rot, and they're actually not using it as soil properly. So again, what we're trying to show them is how to properly compost and actually use the soil that is actually here, other than actually having to go out and buy steer manure and cow manure all the time, and to apply that onto the garden, dig it in, and then have to repeat the process over and over again when they have free soil sitting right here. So as you can see, I mean, this is all, again, like I said, just thrown as one big pile. This is not really properly, placed to build your compost pile. So you have a mix of all your green material, and you got a mix of your brown material here. So you got cardboard, you got dead branches, dead sticks and stuff like that. And this is where you want to be layering your piles, and you want to be flipping these piles every one to 2 weeks to basically get the heat from the bottom on top to help break down the top material, and also just to get that process moving, the compost process moving faster. Thicker chunks of like soil in there too. Again, it'd be too much soil in one area for it to actually properly break down. So hopefully what we can do is teach them how to use this properly and how to get soil out of this, other than just throwing it here as a garbage pile and not actually being able to use what they have on hand sitting right beside them. And again, you got hoses in there, you got garbage in there, garbage bags in there, things like that. And this is all gonna affect your compost as it breaks down. So we're trying to teach them as well, to properly throw the garbage in the garbage bin and use the green waste as it should be used. So it's just kind of like a quick example how you want to do your layering of your compost pile. So you want to have like your green material, and you want to have your brown material. Again, your brown material, if you're using cardboard, you want to try to avoid cardboard that has a lot of coloring in it, because if it leaches into the soil, you're adding more of that chemical to your soil as well. So just a quick example, you got your brown material, you got your green material. You don't want to use too much grass clippings, because it can get a little bit too slimy if you got too much green. So you want to do, like that material there, your greens, and then say, for example, you throw in more of your green material on top, and then you do more of your dry material. So if they got some like sticks here, a lot of the dry material they can add on top. And then again, you basically do another, say, like layer of like leaves or something on top, more dry material. And then you go back to your green material again after that. So you're basically doing another green material on top. And then you go back and you start doing, again, more of your brown layer on top of that, and then process, and then keep going from there. And you always want to do a little bit more of your brown material than your green material, because if you got too much green, fresh like grass and fresh leaves and stuff like that on top, it'll become a little bit too slimy. So that'll take a little bit longer to break down, but also you might not get proper soil out of it. So you want to be adding more, again, like I said, brown material and the dry material, which absorbs the moisture, so it doesn't stay too wet. And then every couple of days, even like once a week, it's good to get out there and spray water on the pile too, to keep the pile moist, so that way the heat builds up and it properly breaks down.